In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet these little pants or trousers for baby boys and girls between 0 and 3 months. They're super easy to make. I hope you like them. Now, I made these little pants to match the little cardigan sweater, the little hat, and the baby booties that I already showed you in my channel. Stay tuned for the baby blanket. I'll go ahead and show you that in another tutorial. Now, if you want to see these tutorials for the little booties, the hat, and the cardigan in the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you the links to these tutorials. Also, in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make these pants smaller or bigger. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, to make these little pants, this is the yarn that I used. This is DK weight yarn. I used blue and white. I used about 100 grams total. You're going to need about 85 grams in blue and about 15 grams in white. You will need less or more depending on the size that you make. Okay, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications bell to all notifications so that YouTube can recommend my videos. And if you like this tutorial, please hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching. To begin, I'll be using this 3mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn. You can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the yarn that I'm using, and I told you how much yarn we're going to need for the size that we're going to make here in this tutorial. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some standard size measurements so that you can make these pants from a newborn size and up to 24 months. So be sure to check that out. So here to begin, I have 86 chains. This chain without stretching is measuring about 42 centimeters, which is about 16.5 inches. Now, if your chain is off by 1 or 2 centimeters, it's okay. Just continue with the 86 chains. So to begin with the first row, the first thing that we need to do is we need to join here in the circle. Make sure that your chain is not twisted. So join to the first chain, grab a loop, and make a slip stitch. We're joined, and now we're going to begin with a waistband. So to begin with the first row, I'm going to chain 1. Now to begin here, insert your hook into the first chain, grab a loop and make a half double crochet. A half double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next, and so on. For this first row, this is all I'm going to do. 1 half double crochet for each chain. At the end of this first row, I'm going to have 86 half double crochets. Continue, finish this first row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of this first row. In this row, we did half double crochets. I have a total of 86 half double crochets. Now to finish, go on top of the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 1. Beginning with this first half double crochet, which is the same one that we joined to, make a front post half double crochet. Into the next, a back post half double crochet. Into the next, front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. For this second row, this is all we're going to do: front post and back post half double crochets. At the end of this row, I'm going to have 86 half double crochets. Continue and finish the second row. I'm here at the end of the second row. In this row, I did front post and back post half double crochets. Now to finish, go on top of the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 3, this is what we're going to do. We're going to chain 1, and here we're going to work these stitches exactly how they are. This first one is a front post, so make a front post half double crochet. The next one is a back post, so make a back post half double crochet. Now this is how we're going to continue for this third row: front post and back post half double crochets. At the end of this third row, we're going to have 86 stitches. So continue, I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the third row. Here to finish, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through this last loop. Now this part is done. This here is the waistband. At the end of the third row, I had 86 stitches. So the waistband is done as it is. It's measuring about 20 centimeters, which is the measurement that I need here for the waistband. This stitch here tends to shrink, so that's why I went ahead and added a couple of extra stitches to make up for that difference. So it's measuring exactly 20 centimeters, which is 40 centimeters here for the waistband, which is the measurement that you're going to find down here in the information box for the waistband. So if you're making this for any other size, just go ahead and add a couple extra stitches. I don't know, I would say maybe no more than 5 extra stitches to make up that difference, because front post and back post half double crochets tend to shrink a bit. So now what we're going to do next is, this is where we finish, so we're going to flip this over like this, and this is where we started. This is the row of chains, and in this row we did half double crochets. We're going to be inserting our hook to make single crochets in this first row here between 2 stitches. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to use this blue yarn. I'm going to bring this through like this, and I'm going to chain 1, and right into the same space here I'm going to make the first single crochet. Now to make the next one, go in between the next 2 stitches and make a single crochet, between the next 2 a single crochet, and so on. So for this row, this is all we're going to do all around, just single crochets. Continue, finish this row. I'm here at the end of this first row. In this row we did single crochets. Now these single crochets were made in between 2 half double crochets. So here at the end I have my last single crochet. Up to here I have 85 single crochets. I need to end with 86, and if you notice here at the end I have 2 spaces left. I have this one and this one. Now this last one here is because we have a chain here at the beginning. So if I make my last stitch here, that would be stitch number 86, and then join, there would be a gap. I don't want a gap here, so this is what I'm going to do here at the end. I'm going to insert my hook into this next space, grab a loop, and into the last space, grab a loop. 3 loops on the hook, close. So here's a single crochet decrease, which counts as 1 stitch. To finish, we're going to go here to the beginning into the first single crochet, join with a slip stitch, and here is the first row with 86 stitches. Now for the second row, in this row we're going to begin our pattern, which is the crunch stitch. Now the crunch stitch consists of 2 stitches, which is a half double crochet and a slip stitch. So to begin here, I'm going to chain 1. Beginning into this first stitch, which is the same one that we joined to, I'm going to make a half double crochet. Into the next stitch, make a slip stitch. Into the next, a half double crochet. Slip stitch, half double crochet. Slip stitch, half double crochet. And that's all we're going to do here. This is a beautiful stitch pattern. I already have a little hat, some booties, and the little cardigan that I just finished. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you the link to these tutorials, which is part of this new set that I'm going to show you. So this is how it looks. So it's a beautiful stitch and very easy. Now here at the end, before we continue, place a stitch marker to mark this chain. This is the chain that we're going to join to at the end of each row. So now continue and finish the second row. I'm here at the end of this second row. In this row we did half double crochet slip stitches all around. Now I have my last stitch left here. This is the last single crochet, so here I'm going to finish the row with a slip stitch. Now to finish, we're going to go here to the beginning where I had marked with a stitch marker. I already removed it. We're going to go here to the beginning and make a slip stitch. Now this last slip stitch that I did to finish the row does not count, only the one that's before that, this last one that I showed you. That's why I went ahead and showed you. So in this row and all the rows to follow, we're always going to have 86 stitches. Now to start each row, you're always going to chain 1 and turn. Now to start each row, we're always going to start with a half double crochet into the last stitch, which is always going to be a slip stitch. So here, make a half double crochet, and into the next, make a slip stitch. Half double crochet into the next, a slip stitch into the next. Basically here all we're doing is into the slip stitches we're making half double crochets, and into the half double crochets of the previous row we're making slip stitches. These are the only 2 stitches that we make, and again make sure that these stitches are nice and loose so that you are able to see these stitches, because in the next row that's where you're going to be working into these stitches. Now continue like this all around, just making a half double crochet and a slip stitch. I will meet you here at the end of this third row to show you once again how to finish each row and how to start each row from here on. I finished making the body here of the little pants. I did a total of 31 rows, including this first row that we did here of single crochets, and it's measuring from the top of the waistband to the end here. It's measuring about 15 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. Now, what I'm going to do next is we're going to separate the legs. So to do this, I have placed some stitch markers. So for the back side, this here is the back side. I have 3 on this side and 3 on this side. This is where I finished the last row. Now, for each one of the legs, here I have 37, and then for the front here I have 6 stitches. I have 1 where the stitch marker is, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then for the second leg I have 37, so 6, 6, 37, and 37 for each leg. So to do this next row, this is how we're going to work this row. This is where I finished. The last row was worked from the wrong side. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now, one thing, if you are making this in any other size, make sure that you end in the same way that I did, where the last row was worked on the wrong side, so that this next row is worked on the right side. So here, to begin, we're going to work these next 3 stitches. So this is what I'm going to do. Into these next 3 stitches here, I'm going to work a half double crochet into each one. So that's 1, into the next, that's 2, and into the next, that's 3. I have 3 half double crochets here. Now to separate the first leg, I'm going to chain 2, then I'm going to skip 37 stitches, and I'm going to go into this stitch where I have the stitch marker, which is the first one of the 6 that we have here. So into this first one here, I'm going to make a half double crochet. Now a half double crochet into the next 5 stitches as well. Here I'm not following the pattern. This is the crotch area, so it doesn't matter because this part here is going to get joined. So there, I have 6 half double crochets, 2, 4, 6. To separate the second leg, chain 2, skip 37 stitches, and now into this same stitch where I have this stitch marker, I'm going to make a half double crochet and a half double crochet into the next 2. Here I cut my yarn too short, so we're going to play yarn chicken here. There, and join to the beginning with a slip stitch. There, perfect. Now cut your yarn. I already did. Make sure you cut your yarn longer than I did, and pass your yarn through this last loop, and this part here is done. So this is how it looks. We have divided here, and now we have the legs. So to do the legs, we're going to go here to the left side. This here again is the back side, so we're going to go right into the chain 2 space. So into this space here, make sure to leave a nice long tail, because this is what you're going to use to close this hole that was left. So you're just going to, let me show you. You're just going to grab a loop here. So insert your hook into the chain 2 space here, grab a loop, bring it through. This is my tail end. Now here I'm going to chain 1. So with this tail end, you're going to put it on a needle and you're going to go stitch by stitch like this, and this gap here is going to close. So make sure you leave a nice long tail. Now what I'm going to do next is here, to begin this part, I'm going to begin with a half double crochet, and I'm going to do 3 half double crochets here because I want to make sure that this first row here ends in an even number. So far I have 37, so I need to add at least 3 more stitches. So I'm going to add 1 stitch here in the middle, 1 stitch here on the side, and 1 stitch once we finish. So to begin here, I'm going to make a half double crochet here at the beginning, and then I'm going to make a half double crochet into the half double crochet that we did here when we separated the legs. So insert your hook there and make a half double crochet. Now I have the first stitch here for the leg, the first stitch out of the 37. And this next stitch here is a half double crochet. So here I need to begin my pattern. For these 2 stitches that I did, it doesn't matter because in the next row we can start working the pattern. So now make a slip stitch and then into the slip stitch of the previous row, which is the next stitch, make a half double crochet. So slip stitch, half double crochet. Here we're just working the pattern how it goes, which is basically make a slip stitch into the half double crochet and a half double crochet into the slip stitches, so that we can continue with the pattern. So continue now all around. I will meet you here at the end of this first row for the first leg to show you how we're going to finish it. I'm here at the end of this first row. Here's my last stitch. This is a slip stitch. I have 39 stitches, including the 2 half double crochets that we did here at the beginning. Now I'm going to add one more stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here. This is the last half double crochet of these 6 that we did here for the crotch area. So insert your hook into that stitch right there, into that space, and make a half double crochet. So now I have 40 stitches for this first row. So to finish, we're going to go here to the beginning where we have this chain, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And here's the first row here for the first leg with a total of 40 stitches. Now for the second row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. So here to begin the second row, this first stitch here is a half double crochet, so I'm going to start the row with a slip stitch. Now into the next, I'm going to make a half double crochet, into the next a slip stitch, half double crochet into the next, slip stitch into the next, and so on. Here we're going to continue with the pattern. So continue all around for this second row. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row. I still have 1 stitch left. This stitch here is a slip stitch. So here at the end, into the last stitch, I'm going to make a half double crochet. I have 40 stitches at the end of this row. Now to finish the row, we're going to go here to the beginning. I forgot to mention when we started the second row here to make sure to put a stitch marker. I did that, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker, and the stitch marker is right here where the chain is. So insert your hook there and finish the row by making a slip stitch. So this is how I finished the second row with 40 stitches. So now for the third row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now place a stitch marker here to mark this chain. You don't want to be losing stitches here because the next stitch here is going to be a slip stitch. From here on, we're always going to begin with a slip stitch, and we're going to end each row with a half double crochet. Here for the body, it was different. We always started the rows with a half double crochet and finished the row with a slip stitch. So it's going to be a little different here for the legs. So I have my chain now into the next stitch, which is the half double crochet here. I'm going to make a slip stitch. Into the next, which is a slip stitch, make a half double crochet. Into the next, make a slip stitch, half double crochet into the next, slip stitch, half double crochet, and so on. From here on, you can clearly see these stitches. Make sure that they're nice and loose so that you are able to see these stitches. Continue like this for this third row. I'll meet you here at the end. I'm here at the end of the third row. I have 40 stitches. My last stitch here is a half double crochet. Now to finish the row, we're going to go here to the beginning where I have the stitch marker here where the chain is, and we're going to make a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this third row with 40 stitches. From here on, this is the row that you're going to repeat. You are always going to start with a chain. You're going to turn. Make sure to mark this chain. This is going to mark the beginning of the row. That way you are not losing stitches at the end of each row, because the next stitch here is going to have to be a slip stitch. And these stitches here are small. You might get confused where it finish. So there's the slip stitch. You always begin with a slip stitch and you always end with a half double crochet. And now you just continue along with the pattern. So make a half double crochet into the next and a slip stitch into the next, half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch. And that's how you're going to continue here for the fourth row. And to finish, you know, you're going to go here to the beginning where we have the stitch marker, make a slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and then repeat the same thing. Now, I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here, but it all depends on the leg measurement or the leg length. So I'm going to continue and make more rows. Make sure you place a stitch marker here to mark the first row. I already did here. So I'm going to continue like this, just repeating this one row until I have the measurement that I need. So continue watching. I will let you know how many rows I'm going to do here. So I will meet you at the end of that row. I finished making the leg. I did a total of 29 rows. The last row that I did was worked on the wrong side, and here at the end I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop. So this leg here is done. So now what we're going to do here is I'm going to go on top of the first stitch here, which is the slip stitch right there. I'm going to grab a loop. I'm going to do the next couple rows here with white, and I'm going to do it like this, where we do front post and back post half double crochet. So to begin here, grab a loop, chain one, and right into this first stitch here, make a half double crochet. Now into the next stitch, make a half double crochet. Skip one stitch and into the next two, make a half double crochet. Skip one stitch and into the next two, same thing, a half double crochet on each stitch. Again, skip the next stitch and into the next two, make a half double crochet. Skip one stitch and into the next two, make a half double crochet. And this is how we're going to continue all around for row 30. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of row 30. In this row we did half double crochets and we have decreased. I have a total of 28 half double crochets. Now if you have one or two stitches less or more, it's okay. The important thing here is that we reduce a bit this part so that we have a better fit here for the leg. So now to finish the row, we're going to go on top of the first half double crochet and we're going to join with a slip stitch. Now for row 31 and 32, we're going to chain one, and right into this first stitch right here, we're going to start with a front post half double crochet. Now the next one, back post half double crochet. Next one, front post half double crochet. Back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet, and so on. This is how we're going to continue for this part all around. Now if you have a hard time making front post and back post half double crochets, then you can do 2-3 rows here of half double crochets or even single crochets. It is going to look a little different, but it's still going to look nice. That would be up to you. And remember, you can always slow the video player by going into YouTube and hitting the 3 dots that are on the right hand side way at the top of the screen, and there you can always slow the video so that you are able to see how I'm making any of these stitches if you are a beginner. Okay, so continue like this all around. Finish this 31st row. At the end here, you're just going to join with a slip stitch, chain one, and then repeat the same thing for row 32. At the end of both of these rows, we're going to have 28 stitches. So continue. Let's finish this part and then I'll come back and show you the second leg. I finished making the third row here of front post and back post half double crochets. Now here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop, and this part here is done along with the leg, and this is how it looks. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to go here to this side. So we finished the left side, we're going to go here to the right side. This is the back side. Now we're going to go right here where we have the 2 chains. So insert your hook into this chain 2 space. This first row, just like we did the first row here for the first leg, it's going to be worked from the right side. So insert your hook, grab a loop here, bring it through. Now this side here, it's going to be a little different, and it's because of the way of how we're going to work this part here. So let me show you. I'm going to show you the first and the second row. So here, grab a loop, bring a loop through, and chain one. Now right into this same space here, make a half double crochet. Now into this next half double crochet, which is part of the 6 that we did here for the crutch, insert your hook there and make a half double crochet. I have 2 half double crochets. Now we have the first stitch here of the 37 that were left for the leg. This stitch here is a slip stitch, so right into this stitch here, make a half double crochet. Now we're going to continue with the pattern. Into the next stitch, which is a half double crochet, make a slip stitch. Half double crochet into the next, slip stitch, half double crochet into the next, slip stitch. Continue like this all around. I will meet you here at this other end. Up to here, which is the last stitch, you're going to have 39 stitches. We're going to make one more stitch here at the end. So continue. I'll meet you at the end of this first row for the second leg. I'm here at the end of this first row for the second leg. Now up to here I have 39 stitches. This is the last stitch of the 37 that we left for the leg here. So my last stitch here is a half double crochet. Now I'm going to go into this half double crochet, which is part of the 6 that we did here for the crutch, and right into this space here of this half double crochet, make a half double crochet. Now to finish the row, I'm going to go on top of the first half double crochet and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish this first row for the second leg with a total of 40 stitches. Now for the second row, when we did the first leg, we always started with a slip stitch. Now for this leg, we are always going to start with a half double crochet and we're always going to end with a slip stitch. So let me show you what I mean. Into this next stitch here, I'm going to make a half double crochet. Into the next, I'm going to make a slip stitch. Into the next, a half double crochet, and into the next, a slip stitch. See how the pattern now works out? This is a slip stitch, so I know I need to make a half double crochet. The next one is a half double crochet, so I'm going to make a slip stitch. If I were to start this second row with a slip stitch, just like I did the first row here for the first leg, then the pattern is not going to work out. So just thought I showed you this side as well. So continue. I will meet you here at the end of this second row and then I'll show you how to finish this row and then I'll show you how to start the third row, since from there on you're just going to continue on and repeat over and over the second row until you have the same number of rows as we did here for the first leg. I'm here at the end of this second row for the second leg. Now here's my last stitch. This is a slip stitch. Now to finish, I'm going to go here. I place a stitch marker to mark this chain, so make sure that you put a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the row. So here I'm going to insert my hook into this chain and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finish the second row with a total of 40 stitches. Now to start each row from here on, you always chain 1 and turn. Now to start each row, you always begin with a half double crochet because the last stitch is always a slip stitch. So insert your hook into this first stitch and make a half double crochet, then into the next a slip stitch, half double crochet into the next, slip stitch into the next, and so on. At the end of each row, you will always have 40 stitches, and to end each row, you always go here to the beginning where we have the chain, make a slip stitch, chain 1, turn, and then repeat the same thing. Now continue, finish the second leg. You're going to do exactly the same number of rows that we did here for the first leg, and then finish here this part. So go ahead and finish the second leg, and then I'll come back and show you the finished baby pants. I finished making the second leg. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop. So these little pants are all done. Now here around the waist, all I did was just make this long chain. This is about 130 chains, and I just weaved it here all around, and I just made 2 little pom-poms here and just attached them to the ends here of the chain. And the little pants are all done. These pants here are to match this little sweater that I already showed you in my channel, and the little hat along with the baby booties. They all have the same stitch pattern. So in the information box below, I'll go ahead and leave you the link to these tutorials if you want to complete the set. And stay tuned, in another tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the matching baby blanket, so I'll go ahead and do that as well. Now let me give you the finished measurements. From the top of the waist to the end here of the leg, it's measuring about 30 centimeters, which is about 11.75 inches. From the crutch up to the end of the leg, it's measuring about 14.5 centimeters, which is about 5.75 inches. From the waist up to the crutch, it's measuring about 15.5 centimeters, which is about 6 inches. and the waist, just the top. It's measuring about 20 centimeters, which is about 8 inches. So based on these measurements, these little pants along with the little cardigan, booties, and hat are for babies between 0 and 3 months. You can make it smaller or bigger using a bigger hook size or a smaller hook size. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you with some information. You can make it from a preemie size and up to 12 months if you use a bigger or smaller hook size, but you can also just follow the measurements that I'm going to give you in the information box as well. And with the measurements, you can make it up to 12 to 24 months. So the pants are all done to match this beautiful little set using the crunch stitch pattern. And as always, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.